All right, welcome everybody. My name is Jesse Jorgensen and I'm here to give you the ABCs on selling. Before I do that though, I just want to congratulate you on making your decision to be here at SC1. I remember my first conference and how impactful that was for me, and I really believe it adjusted the trajectory for my career with our company. So, as far as ABCs go, what you should have in front of you is a document that you had printed off previously so that you can fill out the blank spaces. I encourage you to take a ton of notes, and I really hope you get a ton of value out of our message today. So as far as ABCs go, you know what ABC stands for? It stands for always be closing. It's something that starts the second that we meet the customer and we build a relationship with them so that they feel comfortable handing us their credit card at the end of the presentation. And so building that relationship is the first part of that. So we're going to go through the ABCs of closing, and let's get started. The first thing is attitude. Attitude is the A to closing. And so we're going to go over some must-know rules for closing. So here's the thing about Cutco. Cutco is both a good and a service. There's not a lot of other products out there in the universe that are goods and services. Usually when anything's bought or sold, it's either a good or a service. We happen to have a product that's both a good and a service. It is an incredible features and benefit product that serves our customers. Therefore, it's a service. Also, we have a great guarantee that services our customers as well. Closing itself is a service, so you should do it good. See what I did there? All right, moving on. And Cutco is awesome, by the way. We have the greatest consumer product in the history of the universe. It is something that customers are going to use for the next 30, 40, 50, 60 years, and then they're going to pass down to their kids. There's not a lot of other products out there that have the guarantee and the quality in which we make our product with. So we are going to go over a couple things here just to kind of help adjust your mindset with closing as far as attitude is concerned. Now, first of all, we need to establish that money is a medium of exchange, and the only purpose that money spends, or only purpose the money serves, is to be spent. Think about it. You can't do anything else with money. You have to spend it. And people are naturally hesitant when it comes to spending money because it represents the energy and the time that they've put into something. And people are hesitant in exchanging that energy and time for some sort of good or service, and so it's naturally hesitant to do that. And here's what you got to remember is that as long as the value outweighs the price, people will always buy. Always, because it doesn't matter. Everybody has money to spend. They just spend it on different things. So you just have to make sure you deliver a lot of value, and then people will always buy. You also got to remember everything is sold. Everything is sold. Everything around you was passed through some sort of sales representative. I don't care if it's the laptop that you're looking at, or the materials that the laptop is made out of, your shoes or the stitching, or like the ceiling or the paint or your home, everything is sold. And we sell Cutco, and the customer benefits not just short term, but forever. The two easiest ways, by the way, to sell Cutco: number one, show people who will buy it. Those are married, middle-aged homeowners. That's what we call a prospect. There's a difference between a prospect and a suspect. People that are suspects are people you're suspicious of whether or not they'll buy. Prospects are people who you know can afford and will use your product. So number one, put your product in front of the right kind of people and do a great presentation. You want to sell a lot of knives? Show a lot of HM3s, married, middle-aged homeowners, and do a great presentation. You're going to sell way more Cutco. All right, number two is belief. You need to show your conviction to the customers. And so I ask you, would you buy from you? During your presentation, how's your energy? Your tone and your energy and your enthusiasm are the single most important asset that you have. Like your customers should think that you're just a little bit too excited about knives. But that makes it so that they're comfortable in knowing that you are fired up about a product that you're showing. That's one of the reasons why I'm still here. I've been recruited by other sales companies, but nobody else has the product that we have. So would you buy from you? And let me give you some reasons that reps don't sell. So if you're having trouble closing right now or ever in the future, I want you to look at this paper and ask these questions. Number one, are you letting your past customers define your perspective? It drives me nuts sometimes. I get brand new representatives, they're like, well, all my demos did this. No, the 3 demos you've done did that. You've got to know that that's not the perspective. By the way, sometimes we do this as representatives that are veteran representatives, or a lot more seasoned representatives. You know, we let a customer influence us. We let them, well, I just don't give referrals to people. And then we're afraid to ask the next person. We forget that we've gotten dozens or hundreds of referrals in our queue. We're like, well, I just can't afford those knives. So you become scared to ask the other customers about it because you're like, oh, well, maybe they can't afford it either. No, that's actually one of the reasons why you want to call on your manager too, by the way. Like, I remember having days at $40,000 in sales where I had like 2 no sales, and I was like, oh, nobody buys Cutco. And then I sold something. I'm like, yeah, everybody buys Cutco. It's just a normal thing. That's also, like, I still called Phil at $40,000 in sales to help adjust that mindset because my manager could still give me value. If I was to go back to be a representative today, I'd call my manager every single demo. Why? Because I want to make sure that I've got that extra perspective in making sure that my mindset is shaped. Number 2, are you confident in Cutco? Are you confident that it is an incredible product that customers are going to use forever? Are you confident in the price of Cutco? I think we should sell for more. Why? Because we can. Like, are you kidding me? They are getting the best consumer product in the industry for half the price of our competitors? That's crazy. It is stupid not to buy Cutco with how much money and time and effort and energy it is going to save them on eating out, on time in their kitchen, on energy cleaning everything up and feeding people. It's dumb not to buy it. And so you need to have confidence in that. Next one, are you confident in the fact that other people spend money? Right, we may be, like, our country may be going through a huge recession right now, but that doesn't mean that people don't spend money. Sure, people's retirements, people's investments have taken a hit. The last time I checked, people aren't buying kitchen stuff out of their retirement fund. I've never had a customer go, well, let me go pull money out of my 401k so that way I can buy some knives. During a recession, by the way, it doesn't mean that people don't spend money. It just means that they don't spend money on things that aren't going to last. Cutco is going to last. And it's a smart decision to make sure that they eat out less, that they have a great product that they never have to pay for ever again. And so you need to understand that. By the way, are you confident in the price of Cutco? You got to understand, how much do you guys freaking spend on snowboards? But if you can spend hundreds of dollars on snowboards and PS4s and computers and TVs and trips to wherever, like, your customer can spend some money on some knives that she's going to buy once, use every day, and never have to replace. Right? By the way, shopping's a drug. Shopping is an addiction. People spend money. Like, it's fun to buy stuff because we've got to do something with all the money that we've just spent all our hard-earned time and energy and, like, earning. We've got to do something, so it is fun to buy stuff. It is fun to go to Sportsman's for me and buy stuff. I walk into the bike shop and I have fun. Why? Because I get ready to I get to go buy stuff, and for me that's fun. So a lot of reps, sometimes they like dread closing. They dread like helping the customer pick the right option. Like, oh no. Right? It should actually be the opposite. Be like, boom, I'm about to close. I'm about to have fun. I'm about to help this customer have fun. Are you focused on the customer, by the way? Or are you focused on yourself? A lot of times when reps are dropping down, they're like, oh, I feel uncomfortable. What if they say no to me? I don't know if I can do this. Stop focusing on you and focus on your customer. That's just a tip for life, by the way. Stop focusing on you. Start focusing on what's best for the other party. Right? And so, by the way, that's different than being pushed around. Right? But if you have a relationship in which you want the best outcome for that person, you operate from a different place, as opposed to like, oh, I'm afraid to ask for the order. See there, I did it again. It's not about you, it's about you helping your customer. All right, are you just showing up to a demo to see what happens? This is the worst one. By the way, we're all guilty of this. Showing up to the demo, oh, well, I guess we'll see what happens. No, you should never walk into a presentation not expecting to sell. There's the am I going to sell or what am I going to sell? It should always be, I wonder what I'm going to sell. I wonder what they're going to buy. You should never walk into a presentation wondering. It would be weird if they didn't buy stuff. And you need to know that. And you need to operate from that place. So when you're dropping down, it's like, I wonder if they're going to buy a homemaker or they're going to buy a trimmer. I don't know, but they're going to buy something. Why? Because it would be weird if people didn't buy Cutco. Because Cutco just makes sense. Do professional athletes ever just show up to a game? I guess we'll see what happens. Do they ever show up to a competition or a race and go, I guess we'll see what happens? Your position as a customer sales and service representative. You serve your customer by selling them what they need for their kitchen. That is a service that you provide for your customer, and service is an outward mindset. So stop thinking about yourself and stop showing up just to, we'll see what happens. You should be there to help your customer. Next one, are you expecting them to buy? Which I pretty much already touched on. It'd be weird if they didn't buy Cutco. All All right, here's some questions that you can ask to build some great value during your presentation. Number one, you got to ask yes or no questions. Mrs. Jones, do you ever make bagels? Or like, do you ever cut bagels? Do you ever cut lasagna or casseroles? You get into things like that. Do you ever cut large rotisserie chickens? You're asking yes or no questions that you can use during the presentation. Sincerely, it should be just like, Mrs. Jones, let's talk knives. What do you cook? Open-ended questions. What do you cook? Alternate choice questions. Mrs. Jones, which color do you like better? You like the pearl or the classic? Cool. You think you'd like a wood block or a tray? Awesome. And then, which leads us to the next one. You prefer the table knives, right? Crystallizing question. Like a affirming question. You prefer the table knives, right? Isn't that a great guarantee, Mrs. Jones? Doesn't that feel good in your hand? Right? I mean, you can't see them right now, but like, doesn't that just look great? Right? Wouldn't you agree, Mrs. Jones, that the best way to decide if you like a product is by trying it out? And finally, third-person stories. The best reps, they just third-person story their head off. What I mean by that is you should have a story linked up to everything you ever try to sell. Right? For example, when I go to talk about the super shears, Mrs. Jones, you want to know what? My mother-in-law loves these shears. She loves them so much she wouldn't even let me send them back to the factory when they needed serviced. And guess what? We go camping every year, and I know I can pull open the drawer in the camper, and she takes those super shears camping with her because she just can't live without them. My dad also uses them. He's a diesel mechanic instructor. He uses them on sheets of aluminum to make like shims for things, and he says they're better than his tin snips. Boom, there you go. Or Mrs. Jones, this is the paring knife. This is actually my mom's favorite knife because she really loves fruit, taking the tops off strawberries. She really likes to can and to can things, so nectarines or peaches, or she makes really good apricot jam, and so there you go. Mrs. Customer knows that my mom loves the paring knife, and that's how you sell that. Is they need reassurance that somebody else buys that. Right? Or another one, Pat Nesbitt. I did a demo for a lady named Pat Nesbitt. She had a salmon knife in her in her ultimate block, and I said, Pat, what do you use this for? Do you cut fish? She's like, no. You want to know what that's really good for though? Costco muffins. No way. Yeah, Costco muffins. So thin, razor sharp, no crumbs. Guess what I've said every time I've ever talked about a salmon knife for the rest of my life? Miss Jones is really great for fish, mahi, trout, tuna. You want to know what's also really good for? Pat Nesbitt loves this thing for Costco muffins. Customers, really? Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. No crumbs. Every time I do it just like that. I guarantee you I've sold 7 to 10 more salmon knives in my career just because I use third-person stories. So, or when you're dropping down, Miss Jones, you want to know what Janice said? You want to know what Janice did? She thought the homemaker set was too big too, but she ended up getting the galley set. Right? Customers just need to feel reassured. Right? Or if you've ever done a demo where like you've done demos in a neighborhood and you just told the customers what the other neighbor bought. By the way, that happens way more than you think. It's simply because people just want to feel reassured that they're getting a good purchase. All right, you need to drop down. So C is for concluding the sale, and you got to drop down with that conviction. By the way, let's define closing the sale. Closing the sale is the process of building the value, explaining the price, asking for the order, and dropping down slowly until you find the right price to value ratio. Again, when the value outweighs the price, people will always buy. So it's a situation where when you can help the customer get a great value at that right price point, see, because people also have budgets, I understand that, but it's all about helping them get the best value at the budget point they're comfortable spending. It's an easy decision to buy. The 6 Cutco myths, by the way, notice that they are myths. They don't exist, okay? And they can be fixed. The best way to handle an objection, by the way, any of these, is before it comes up. So most of these can be fixed with a great presentation. They wouldn't use all those knives. Do a better job on your presentation. The Cutco is too expensive. You build more value, it's never too expensive. Customers don't have the money. Everybody's always got the money. They'll buy later. Value goes down. There's no possible way they can buy later. Sorry to break it to you. Promise sales or no sales. Yeah, but it's my grandma. Grandma nothing. The value goes down. There's no possible way that grandma can get it later. Right? Dropping down is too pushy. If you're operating from a place of sincerity and service, dropping down is never pushy. And they have good knives. I mean, come on. Have you looked in some of your customers' doors? By the way, this is all cured with a good presentation. So again, the best way to handle an objection is before it comes up. Because if you try to handle it after it comes up, then it just makes it seem like you're changing their mind, and nobody likes to have their mind changed. So do a great presentation, and you'll get rid of most of those. Here we go. Fixing some common closing mistakes that I've seen representatives have. Number 1, you got to stop believing the customers. You got to stop believing them when they tell you they can't afford it. What else are they going to tell you? Right? If they really didn't want the knives, when you go to ask them to buy it, they'd probably say, yeah, I wouldn't, like, I'm a robot. I don't need food. I don't need knives. They would just tell you no. So when it comes to that, it's stop believing the customers. Of course they're going to tell you they can't afford it. I've had customers that have bought galley sets and studio sets that swore up and down that they could not spend any money today, no way, no how, on the homemaker set. And then I get to the galley set and they go, oh yeah, cool, I'll buy that. But it's also because the confidence and the reassurance was there, which means you also need to ask for the order. I remember going on a presentation with one of my representatives a couple summers ago. She did a great list. Showed somebody who already had Cutco, built a really great list. Showed her the deal she could do for her, and just sat there and went. So I could tell the customer was so close. And then the customer was like, and then she backed, and the customer went, oh yeah, but I don't think I can get it today. She really just needed that girl to say, yeah, you're gonna love this, Mrs. Jones. Do you want to go ahead and get it? Silence is key. The longer the silence, the easier it is for the customer to determine if they want to get it. A couple quick stories. Number one, it's about a gentleman named Tony. I did a demo, was doing a service appointment for Tony's wife. Tony is a professional salesperson. He's sitting on his computer in the corner, not paying any attention to me. I'm doing a service appointment for the wife. We write up a list of stuff she wants to get. I show her the list. I ask her for the order. I said, do you want to go ahead and get that today? And then I zipped it. And Tony stops clicking, looks over, and goes, honey, did you see what he did? The wife's like, yeah, he's trying to get me to get these knives, like, which I want, but, and then she just starts going on those other things. He's like, look, he asked you for the sale, and then he zipped it. He said most salespeople lose the sale because they talk, right? After they ask for the order, it is their turn to think, right? And I was pretending like I didn't know what was going on. He's like, see, he still hasn't said anything yet. So you've got to remember, silence is key. It's not pushy. You're letting your customers think about it. I remember I bought a mountain bike. By the way, mountain bikes aren't cheap. I like to mountain bike. Buying stuff is fun. Remember, shopping is a drug. I'm telling you, man. You walk into like the stores where you like to go, shopping is a lot of fun. Okay, anyway, I go to buy this mountain bike. It was a couple $1,000s more than what I was expecting to spend that day. The guy slides the price across to me, and I stood there for 20 minutes in silence, checking phone, because it's not the one I was planning on buying that day. But you know what, after 20 minutes, I was like, tell you what, Mitch, I'm going to do it. Silence is fine. By the way, the last person to talk, write this down in your notes. The last person to talk has the most influence. Increase your excitement when you drop down. You want to make sure that your excitement is increasing as you drop down. Because if you're like, yeah, Mrs. Jones, homemaker, galley, starter, ghetto, do you maybe want to get it? Nobody wants to buy ghetto. Okay, so you got to make sure that your excitement is increasing as you drop down. And you want to make sure you're using the bonus points to get them every possible variation of the greatest option on the way down. If you're not great with using bonus points, call your manager. If you're great at using points, call your manager. Show up to Jams Club, get better at using your bonus points. Those are your best friend. And no's are a good thing. You got to remember that no's are a good thing. Every time that they give you an objection, no, I can't get that right then, that's a good thing. It gets you closer to the yes. And you got to remember that objections show interest. Oh, I can't afford it today. That means I can't afford it today. It means I want it and I would buy it if I could afford it today, so help them find something that they can afford today. All right, the objection cycle, really important to go over. Number one, you need to listen. By the way, let me give you a quick tip. Write down the 3 to 5 second rule. When a customer gives you an objection, I want you to wait 3 to 5 seconds. So I can't afford that option. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I completely understand where you're coming from, Mrs. Jones. By the way, on a phone, it's a because you acknowledge that you heard them, and then you're listening. It's an active listening thing. People don't like to feel handled. People like to feel listened and understood. You want to repeat the objection. So you're telling me, Mrs. Jones, that's just a little bit too much for you. Show empathy, which you're agreeing with their feelings. I completely understand. That's a bit too much to spend at once. It's actually why, and then you're going to find a solution. I love sales, by the way. I love sales because I'm a professional solution finder. It is fun to solve problems and watch customers benefit from your problem solving. So that's why most people do this. Or you know what Janet did? She actually did that. And then you ask for the order again. So how does that sound, Mrs. Jones? And finally, you need to operate on these two premises. Number one is that the sale is always lost in the rep's mind, your mind, before it's lost in the customer's. If you don't think that they're going to get it, there's no way they could get it if they wanted to, because you're no longer believing that they're going to get it. And number two is that customers are closer to buying than you think they are. All right, customers say definitive things on accident. They're like, oh, we can't afford that at all. No, they can. If they wanted to, they totally could. But they say definitive things on accident, or like, we wouldn't use all, we like these knives. These knives are fine. Well, they're not, right? But they say definitive things on accident. So you need to understand people are closer to buying than you think they are. And finally, know this. 63% of all sales presentations end with the salesperson never specifically asking for the order. You miss 100% of the orders that you don't ask for. 46% of salespeople ask for the order once and then quit. 24% ask for the order twice before giving up. 14% ask a third time. 12% ask a fourth time. That means 96% of any customer that ever gets asked to buy something gets asked less than 4 times before the salesperson quits. Sometimes the customers just need 5. And then finally, when you firm it up, after you make the sale, after they say yes, you need to show them your reassurance. You need to show them Costco love. What is the Costco love? The Costco love is that people, when they walk into Costco, because Costco's branding, they have assured everybody that they are getting a great deal at Costco, whether or not they are. Now, they're getting a great deal on Costco, so it is okay to tell them you're getting a great deal. And it is okay to tell them, Mrs. Jones, you should just go ahead and get it. Like, that's a great option for you. You're going to love those pieces. And your reassurance in their decision is needed. When salespeople lose interest right after they make the sale, it doesn't make the customer feel very good. So you need to pump the customer up about how much they're going to love their stuff after they say yes. And finally, you want to show appreciation. Thank you notes. I used to go to the bathroom, by the way, after I would close up the sale and write a thank you note while I was in the bathroom and leave it on the mirror so that they would find it later that day. Or I would leave it in the mailbox outside, so when they'd go to check their mail the next day, they'd be like, oh my gosh, Jesse left me a thank you note. So if you're doing a virtual world, mail them a thank you note. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jones. Or send them a text and just say, hey, I really enjoyed our demo yesterday. You're going to love your knives. So remember, go sell, go serve your customers. It is okay to operate from a place of authenticity and believing that they should, can, and will love and should get and are going to love their Cutco. So go help your customers, fix your mindset, and you're going to sell a ton of Cutco and really crush it this summer. Thanks, guys.